If your goal in 2026 is to join the well over 1 million Americans who will, over the next year, buy their very first house, then you need to watch this video before you become house poor. That's right, I'm making this video to help you make a smart decision about buying your very first house. For two reasons. One, I think your first home should and can be a great investment as long as you're intelligent about how you buy it. But two, I don't want you to fall in the trap that apparently most Americans are falling into. And that is waiting until they're 40 to buy a house. Did you know that the average age of a first-time homebuyer is 40 years old? I think you can beat that stat. And ultimately together, we can get that age back down to the early 30s where it used to be. If you are still on the fence whether buying or renting is right for you, that's perfectly fine. This video is not perfect for you, but what is the PDF down in the description below. Click the link and I will send you my guide to buying versus renting. It includes a link to a calculator that will let you know which makes more financial sense for your specific situation. So if that is your situation, go down, follow the guide, and then if it says that you should be buying a house, then come on back and watch this video. The trap that we're trying to avoid is what I call being house poor. And the way that people fall into this trap is that they get pre-approved for more than what they should probably be spending on a house. You see, depending on your loan product, a lot of banks will lend to you up to 40% of your income to be used towards debt and housing payments. Well, that means that if you bring home $5,000 a month, the bank will allow you to have a monthly house payment up to $2,000. The problem is most financial gurus out there, like the GOAT himself, Dave Ramsey, recommend that you should be spending 25% of your income on housing expenses. That's a huge difference. And within that delta lies what we call being house poor. But there's a whole nother side to this. There's another head to this ugly beast of first-time home buying. And that is, for most folks out there, because of unaffordability, to wait until you have the income to support buying a house and having your housing payment be 25% or less means waiting until you're older in your higher earning years. In this case, right now, that average age is 40. My problem with that is if you wait 10 years to buy a house, you're missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equity through principal paydown and appreciation. But don't worry, I have a solution. So affordability is a real problem. The first thing that you're going to face, of course, is the upfront cost to buy a house. So let's look at what that looks like here in Bryan-College Station. Well, first off, let's point out the fact that Dave Ramsey recommends you put 20% down. Well, 20% down here in Bryan-College Station means that your down payment would be $50,000 to $60,000, and you would need probably $70,000 to buy that first house. Quite frankly, that's a lot of money and takes a really long time to save up that amount. So I'm not necessarily in that camp. I'm okay with you using a lower down payment loan, like a low down conventional 5%, FHA 3.5%, or for my veterans out there, a VA loan 0% down. When you buy a house, it's not just about the down payment though. You've got down payment, closing costs, and I recommend that you have a little bit of a cushion. So let's look at those numbers. In terms of down payment for a starter home, you're probably looking at, let's say FHA loan, somewhere around $10,000. And then in terms of closing costs, you could be right around another $6,000. And then I would like you to have about 1 to 2% of the purchase price of a house in an emergency fund. This helps cover things like your deductible in case that you have to replace the roof after a hailstorm. In this case, we're talking about another, call it $4,000. 10, 6, and 4 for your down payment, closing cost, and your emergency fund. $20,000. But the good news is right now in 2026, we are in a buyer's market, meaning that for a lot of our clients, we're able to negotiate with the seller. And that could include covering your closing costs. Now we've decreased your upfront buying capital requirement down to about, call it $14,000. If you have between $10,000 and $15,000, I think we're ready to start shopping for a house. All right, so if you have the down payment, the next thing we need to look at is whether or not you can afford the monthly payments that come with buying this house. And again, remember the recommended percent is 25% of your income. Well, if you're here in Bryan-College Station, we can get you a comfortable first-time house for about $265,000. That'll generally get you a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, call it 12 to 1400 square foot house with a 2-car garage in a suburban neighborhood that doesn't need any work. Not a bad place to start. But your monthly payment on that, when you factor in your principal, your interest, your tax, your insurance, and your mortgage insurance, which comes with having a low down payment loan like FHA, ends up being around $2,100 to $2,300 per month. Well, if we're looking at that rule of thumb that your monthly housing expense should be 25% of your income, that means you need to make $9,000 a month, which is well over $100,000 a year, which is pretty unaffordable for a lot of our younger folks here in Bryan-College Station. So the question is, do we give up on the dream of buying a house and just throw money away in rent, or is there another way? I'm here to tell you there's another way. I introduce to you the house hack. Now, for this situation, I recommend renting out the spare bedrooms. I'll tell you a little story. The first house I ever bought, back when housing was affordable, I bought a 3-bedroom house. And then I lived in one of the bedrooms and left the other 2 bedrooms empty for about 2 years, when I very easily could have filled those bedrooms with friends and made money off that house while living there. It's one of the bigger mistakes I've made as an investor and a homeowner. I'm gonna help you avoid that, because I would recommend that you buy this house and then fill both of those spare rooms with roommates. In Bryan-College Station, you could probably get about $500 per bedroom in rent. Now, you are making $1,000 on that house, and your monthly expense goes down to about $1,200 a month, right? $2,200 minus $1,000, $1,200. You with me still? Well, if we look at the 25% rule that we just talked about, your monthly housing expense is now $1,200 times 4 puts you at $4,800 per month, or about $58,000 a year. Wholly affordable, Batman. Now we can buy our first house and not be house poor. But Greg, I don't want roommates. That's perfectly fine. I didn't tell you you had to have roommates. Your alternative is, rather than making $60,000 a year and buying a house in a smart financial decision, you can go to your boss and say, hey, I need a slight raise by about $40,000. I just need a 66.666% increase to my current income so that I can afford a house in a reasonable manner. Or just live with some friends. Live with friends, or try to increase your income by almost 2x. It's up to you. You do you. I recommend taking on roommates. Here's the other thing about taking on the roommates. It's a temporary sacrifice. Our goal is to get you into a house so you can enjoy the appreciation that our boomer parents have enjoyed for the last 30 or 40 years. That's what I want for you. And as you make more money, let's say you increase your income from 60 to 80K, now you only need 1 roommate. Maybe that roommate ends up being a spouse. You see, it's not a forever thing, it's a temporary thing, but it allows you to get into a house sooner and start taking advantage of the appreciation. Here's the other piece, guys. If you start early, and I'm talking like in your early 20s, you have flexibility in your life. You can take on roommates. You can move more often. By the time you're 40, you've got a wife and kids. Moving is a huge pain in the ass. But in your 20s, it's just part of life. So if you bought your first house in your early 20s, lived there for about 2 years, made a little bit more money at your job, turned that house into a full rental, went and bought another one, lived there for a few years, turned that into a rental, moved into a third one, lived there for a few years, and then moved out, you would be 30 years old, you'd have 3 rental properties, whose total value would probably be right around $1 million. Here's the powerful thing, guys. You now have tapped into $1 million that's appreciating every single year. You might not know this, but the appreciation in Bryan-College Station since 1990 has been 4.96%. On $1 million, that's $49,600 a year that your wealth is increasing simply by owning the homes. That doesn't include principal pay down. That doesn't include cash flow from the rentals. Holy smokes, the trajectory of your life just completely shifted because you were smarter than the guy who waited till he was 40 to buy his first house. And I know this isn't for everyone, but it is for some people. And if it is for you, I want to be there to help you. If you're in Bryan-College Station, I can help you directly. If you're not in Bryan-College Station, I still want to get you going in the right direction. In either case, guys, there's two things you can do. You can subscribe to this channel or you can go down the link below and you can schedule a chat with me. A quick 30-minute conversation will get you set up for success, I promise it. The other thing you can do just to help me out is hit that like button. The like button keeps me motivated to make more videos like this. It also lets other people know that I'm making videos helping young people grow their wealth through real estate, specifically here in Bryan-College Station. And then if there's nothing else that you do, do this one thing. And that is until next week when I drop that next video, take it easy.